This Dental Insiders podcast has been brought to you by Dr. DDS, generating demand and driving revenue for dental equipment manufacturers through innovative email programs and product reviews. Learn more at drdds.com.
And today we welcome back Michael McCarthy for part 2 of our interview with the one and only Michael McCarthy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me again, guys. This is so much fun, and thanks for doing what you do. It's such a great new learning modality for us. So thanks for putting us on, and love you both.
It awesome. Is. Thank you. And
let's jump right into it.
Let's jump right into it. Do you think? So I'm kind of a branding guy at heart. So is Michael. Actually, we're kind of different. We have different ideas on branding, but I think
you're
we're
more
both
Batman. I'm more Robin.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a fair way to. And here is Superman.
Here is.
Oh, how about Alfred the Butler? And I'll be okay with that.
So do you, I know we all believe in branding, so this is kind of a big lead, but not a big stretch, I guess is what I'm saying, is that, do you think that dentists need to understand branding and be a brand?
Yeah, loaded question, in that the answer is yes. But, dentists didn't go to school to be marketers. And hey, thank God they can come to people like us or other but Matthew, oh geez, what am I saying? First thing I would do is get a really great book that was written by one Matthew Petchel.
Where's that book? Where's the book? You need to hold it up.
Sorry, that was
sold out.
I would have timed that plug better had I thought of it. But you wrote a great book, Matt, and I learned from that. But what I take away from your book and my own personal beliefs is, if clinicians and dentists, specialists, hygienists, dental assistants, office managers, anyone involved in the practice, if they understand and master just one thing about branding, that it's an experience for the patient or the consumer or the prospect or the hopeful patient. There's reasons why we watch movies over and over and over again. I've watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind 1,000 times. And it's because I had a great experience with that movie. And I feel something every time I watch it. And I think if dentists get away from, I have to do business cards, I have to have a sign, I have to have a website, I have to have this, and first focus on, what experience do I give my patients or my staff or myself? I think then the branding doors open and they can walk through. And they should definitely buy your book, of course.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a big thing, is they start, and we all suffer from this a lot. We start at the beginning. We start with the very first thing, and then we realize, oh boy, there's 25 things I need to do, and I get stuck in the weeds and in the granular part of it, where this is what I think you're saying, is that, and I believe it too, and I think you do, is that you start from the end, which is the experience.
Yep.
What's the experience I want my patients to have, or my customer, or my consumer, or whatever, and then work backwards, because otherwise then you've just, you could do all these little things on the front end, but then you get to the experience and you're like, well, that's not really how I want people to feel. And then you got to go back and you got to redo everything. So,
right. It's a process as well, but just what you said, I agree completely. It's just being open to that. And, at least for the past year, my big word with branding, and haven't done a lot of branding work recently, but is, experiential.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And putting yourself in it, I think it's hard for dentists to do. I know it's hard. I mean, it's hard for us to do, but you have to, like you said, think of the end goal, and that end goal is that unsurpassed experience. And then how do you put yourself in the shoes of your customer, or the shoes, in this case, of your patient? It's kind of hard to go secret shopping in your own practice, right? The front desk kind of knows who you are.
Right.
So, but I think that it can be so easy, as you mentioned, Matthew, to get caught up in the details of the tactics and what has to be on the sign or business cards, or do I have most recent issue of highlights in the waiting room, and you lose sight of the end goal, the vision,
the big picture,
big picture,
right?
Yeah, and understanding that it's a process, that it's not The only thing though is everyone's different. And if you're aspiring to be someone different than who you are at a granular level, probably not going to work out real well for you.
Yeah, yeah, that's important too.
Right.
Yeah. So, let's pretend that we had a crystal ball here. And I think now is the time in the show where it's time to gaze into that crystal ball.
Sure.
So as we gaze into the crystal ball, what do you think is the future of media in the dental industry? Is it all moving towards email, and what's the future of advertising and trade shows? What's the future of marketing in the dental industry?
Wow. I wish I really had that crystal ball. We'd be doing this in Hollywood studios with holograms. I think media is going to continue to change more heavily towards digital platforms, email, podcasts, webinars, electronic education. But sorry if I sound like an old timer here, print is not dead, nor is it going to die anytime soon. Thousands of years, the printed page has had equity and just gained so over. So, smarter printing, I think, is the next evolution. That filled with less fluff, more education, better content, and content that can have an existence online as well. Yeah. So I think media, we're going to be bombarded with, it's going to follow wherever the technology takes us. I mean, did any of you think you'd be, checking emails on a watch when we were kids? That was space-time stuff, and it's here. So it's nice to have been through the process. What I don't know is, the only thing I do worry about print is this younger generation, all their textbooks are online and computer. I want them to experience print in some format, but is it going away in the next decade? No, especially for clinicians who like the visual, who like the tactile feel, and who get an experience from flipping a page and digesting content. So digitals, definitely. If I was, my budgets today, if I was Michael, a manufacturer, I'd definitely be looking in a 50-50 world of spending digital 50% and 50% in proven print vehicles.
Nice.
And trade shows, digital has precluded people from traveling to get information and deals. Yep. So what I've seen both on the medical side and the dental side is people are traveling more locally to shows to be amongst their peers and influencers, or saving for those really big shows. That's why I'm a firm believer in Greater New York, Chicago Midwinter, and the International Dental in Cologne. Yep. Those are the three I always invest in. Others, Yankee, Hinman, California, great shows. But if I was a manufacturer, it's taking a calculated risk.
Yeah, and I want to get on my soapbox here for a minute. And I'm a short guy, so I've actually been standing on it this whole time. But we talk on this podcast. I think every episode we so far have touched on trade shows, maybe with the exception of one. It's I think it's especially for the three of us. It's been part of our professional lives for over a decade. It's something that's near and dear to us. It's something that, is a bit of a love-hate at times. And, we often talk about, I guess, will trade shows go away? And I'm going to get on my soapbox here because, I think that the original social media was people getting together. Social is we're in the same place. Before we could email, yes, there was a world before the internet, believe it or not. Before we could, post pictures of our food, we got together as humans and we shared stories, we shared experiences, we shared commonalities. In that aspect, I can't imagine that trade shows will ever go away. However, it is imperative as an industry that we do something to, I think, change how they're currently being done and being run, because manufacturers play an integral part of this industry, as do the clinicians, of course, that we serve. And I think we just, it's a matter of when we talk about trade shows, not will they go away, but how will they evolve? How will they become maybe more intimate with education, provide more niche environments for particular manufacturers, and maybe become a little bit more inclusive for those newer or overseas manufacturers or smaller manufacturers who have a brilliant idea but haven't been exhibiting for 30 years, so get stuck in the land of misfit toys.
Right.
And for me, I think it's a conversation that obviously I'm passionate about, because that vehicle shouldn't go away. We shouldn't let it die. We need to give it a little bit of TLC so that it revives in whatever form that may be.
That is one big long soapbox right there.
That's about the most you'll
and
hear
that's
me
the
say.
end of our podcast. We're out of time.
Thanks, Mike. No,
I think you're right.
Really short statement on this, Michael. You said a word that was very important, which was niche. I was talking about big trade shows. The most successful ones that I've seen in evolution go on ones that are specializing or tailored to a niche. I was just talking to a dentist yesterday saying, please send your office manager to the ADOM meeting, the Association of Dental Office Managers. Wow. I mean, a relatively new meeting, less than 10 years, huge passion, huge consensus, and providing critical information for the members. So I think the specialty meeting or trade show is going to evolve past these large, generalist meetings.
Yeah, and maybe the word trade show, maybe we should do a branding exercise right here and rename the trade show, because it's not about, it used to be a trade show. Right. Now it's more like a friend sharing experience. It's an experience show.
Yeah, it's a
connection.
It's a connection. It's a exercise in connectivity.
Hey, let's take that offline and see if we can sell it to some of the associations. I like it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our next project.
What's the worst idea you've ever had?
Oh, okay. This is PG rated, or can I be somewhat adult?
You can be whatever you want.
Yep.
I once suggested a campaign for Pfizer for their little blue pill, that the tagline should be "Talk it up," and to have conversations around erectile dysfunction.
Talk it up.
I thought it up is fantastic. Are you kidding?
I thought it was brilliant at the time. I was basically thrown out on my ear on Park Avenue. So,
wow.
So I was young and wild in those days, but I thought it would. People were talking. Erectile dysfunction is a taboo topic.
Right.
Let's talk it up.
Let's talk it up.
Come on, Charlie. Come on.
I'm not going to go into details here because, but you might remember what I'm talking about. So when I was at Sirona, Michael pitched a print ad campaign to us, and this might fall in retrospect, I think this might fall in one of those like worst ideas.
Right.
But I was young and naive, and I gravitated towards one of these concepts, just really hook, line, and sinker. And I took it to my boss, who was Stefan Hay at the time, big German guy. And he was actually in the pitch meeting, but he was quiet. And afterwards, I was just like all over this idea of it was, remember the machine was in the back seat and all that. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Derek became a part of the family.
Right, part of the family. And I just loved it. And I was gushing about this after the meeting to Stefan. And I remember he just looked at me and it was no. And that was it. That was the end of the discussion.
Yeah. Well, it's, and creativity, like preferences, everybody's a little bit different. And learning what your environment is and what's acceptable. I think what's interesting is that, how the world has changed in the last, not just on the digital and the social side that we've talked about, but what's acceptable now. So talk it up. Maybe 10 years ago when the blue pill first came out is too racy. Well, we can't possibly do that. That is just weird. But I think you ought to maybe go pull those old boards out and get over to Madison Ave and represent those, because that is a killer.
Talk it up. I mean,
I'd buy the pill and I don't even need it.
Let's
I'm not going to comment on that section.
I think it's time to move on.
I think it probably
but
is
no,
time.
that's an awesome story. Talk it up.
Great
So
one.
you want to play word association?
Let's play word association.
So we're going to play word association. We're going to say a term, phrase, and you're going to say the first thing that comes to mind. And, you know, it's not like we say one word, you're limited to one word, but we're going to say something, and you're going to say the first thing that comes to mind. So
DSOs.
Ooh, a choice, an option.
Good.
And in an election.
One word or
It's a very political answer. I like that.
That
You know, we just talked about this, but I'm still going to throw it out there. Dental trade shows.
Desperate.
Wow.
Desperate for change.
Technology.
Means to an end.
Gonna shift gears here, as I often like to do on this show. Favorite hobby?
Fly fishing, trout fishing.
Feeling we were gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get the
Little
fly
of this.
fishing.
It's
Yeah.
like-
put me on a stream.
My kids are really into fly fishing too, by the way. We'll have to offline. We'll have to have a chat. They're crazy for fly fishing. As a matter of fact, I'm not working Friday. We're going fly fishing.
Awesome. I'll be right down, Matt.
Yeah, we're going up to Asheville, up to the Davidson River, which is
Nice.
a really good spot. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, I'll send you pictures.
Thank you.
All right, let's do RDH.
The future. Great profession. Skilled clinicians. The RDH, I know there are those that fear that they have an MO to increase, but dentistry is in demand. They are the front person and the communicator to the patient. I always say if I was ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and I had an oral biology question, my phone a friend would be a registered dental hygienist.
Nice. Last one.
Last one.
The Dental Insiders.
Much love, but finally, great content that matches the technology medium. I really give you guys a lot of credit for tapping into, the podcast technology and making it almost like a TV series. It's something to look forward to. And your guests, your content, hopefully I added something to this, but keep on with this. It's something our industry needs, and it's something I need personally.
Awesome.
Thanks. Great. That wraps it up for another episode of the Dental Insiders. We'd like to thank our guest, Michael McCarthy, for joining us. Awesome job. Thanks for your insight and your expertise and your professionalism, and you're just interesting. So thanks for being interesting. I think
thank you, and right back at you guys. And aside from emails and pictures, I hope to see you guys in Chicago.
All right. Let's do it. Thanks for spending time with us. Please join us next time and tell your friends and colleagues about the Dental Insiders.